What is poppin', y'all? It's your man, Cowboy Bales. Welcome to another episode of Wisco Sports Weekly, where today's episode, well, the news just came out. We officially know the 53-man roster. It's been a very hectic couple of days as Brian Gutekunst and Matt LaFleur have officially picked who will represent the Packers for the 2024-25 NFL season. It's been hectic camp, lots of highs, lots of lows, but I think this is the best I've really seen Brian Gutekunst act. He took all the flaws that kind of happened in this offseason and even the start of the season and kind of moved on from it. And I think we're really moving I feel like we're moving in a good direction. Now, I think a lot can happen, but we're still gonna see some possible things happen, Thankfully, this is the first season where injuries weren't an issue. Last year, I remember how many people were injured at the start of the season, and I'm like, this year, it's not that bad. And I think that's a definitely great thing to see. So, of course, I'm going to go over the 53 members that will represent the Green Bay Packers, as well as the people who got cut or put on IR. Without further ado, if you like what you see, subscribe below, comment your thoughts, and let's get down to business. First off, we have the quarterbacks. First, we have two quarterbacks. Obviously, Jordan Love is obviously representing the Packers, obviously, as the starting quarterback for the second year. Obviously, we know how Jordan Love is really the catalyst of this offense. Can't wait to see what he brings. And then yesterday, everyone was saying, who's going to be the backup? Is it going to be Sean Clifford or is it going to be Michael Pratt? And both showed some things, some different sides, but no one really impressed anyone. Everyone was saying Pratt, I thought Pratt outplayed Clifford, but Clifford's a veteran and he knows the offense more. So honestly, I didn't know what they were going to do. But instead, they decided to trade a 7th-round pick to get quarterback Malik Willis from the Titans, a guy that I was thinking maybe, could deserve a chance somewhere else, knowing that the Titans pretty much have Will Levis as their starter and Mason Rudolph pretty much worked really well with the offense. There's nothing wrong with Malik Willis. I think Willis has so much potential, and he didn't have a bad preseason. I think he just needs time to develop, and the system that he had, I just didn't think worked out. And I think it's great. I think Malik Willis learning from Tom Clements is going to be great. Being a backup, I think definitely he has more attributes of today's game than Sean Clifford and Michael Pratt have. Honestly, Clifford or Pratt, one of the two will likely make the practice squad for my beliefs. If I had to pick, as much as I want it to be Pratt, I feel like it's going to be Clifford just because he knows the offense. But it's better. I feel like Malik Willis has more of an upside but against Clifford and Pratt. That's how I feel. But the quarterback situation hopefully won't be an issue this year with Jordan Love, hopefully being healthy the entire season. Going on to running backs, everybody kept saying we were going to keep 4. We had 4 guys that were going to, but it's like keeping 4 running backs is just not really what you want to do, unless someone's like a kick returner or something. So of course Josh Jacobs was an easy lock. He'll be running back number 1. They also decided to keep Marshawn Lloyd, the rookie. We didn't even get to really see him in the preseason. He only played 1 game, had 1 carry and 1 catch before suffering a minor hip injury. Did not play in the rest of the preseason. They said that his injury is minor, so he should be eventually back. And Emmanuel Wilson ended up getting the 3rd spot over A.J. Dillon. Emmanuel Wilson had a phenomenal preseason, really showed that he can actually be, he was also great on special teams. He could be a high-load player, and I'm really excited to see what Emmanuel Wilson can actually bring. Maybe he'll actually get a lot more playing time as a backup due to if Lloyd is not ready to start the season. But anyways, don't know what'll happen. Unfortunately, A.J. Dillon, they obviously can only put someone on short-term IR, and unfortunately, Dillon was not one of the people that they selected to do it. They only could do one person. That was obviously Jonathan Ford, and I'll get to that later. So unfortunately, A.J. Dillon's out for the year. It's a brutal loss, but I feel like he was going to be phased out of the offense anyway. The only thing that he really could bring was pass block. He was good at blocking on third downs. That was the only thing he could really do. But I feel like he was going to eventually get phased out of this offense. Marshawn Lloyd was eventually going to be the backup, maybe starter in the future. And Emmanuel Wilson really outplayed everyone. So honestly, I'm not mad that Dylan is unfortunately, and his season's ending. And honestly, this is could be his last year as a Packer. If that sucks if that was the case. Released were Ellis Merriweather and Nate McCrary. Likely one of those people will probably make the practice squad. My belief is Nate McCrary. Yeah, but we'll see. It's a lot to go over. Going on to the wide receivers. We kept six wide receivers. In no particular order. Wide receiver 1 will likely be Romeo Doubs. Wide receiver 2 will be Christian Watson. Our slot wide receiver will be Jaden Reed. We also have Dontavian Wicks, who I actually have made predictions saying I think he'll actually lead the team in yards by the end of the season if someone gets injured or something. And the last 2 spots belong to Bo Melton and Malik Heath, who, as I expected, would get these spots. Released were former 7th-round picks Grant Dubose and Samori Toure. Also free agents Julian Hicks, Dimitri Stanley, and Jalen Wayne. Out of the 5, my belief is that Hicks is going to make the practice squad. I feel like Dubose has such a high ceiling, and I feel like another team could definitely pick him up and use him. But there's really nothing about receivers. These guys never were really going to get a chance anyways. Going on to the tight ends, we kept 3. The guys that we had last year, Musgrave, Kraft, Sims. There really wasn't much to say. I was hoping maybe Tyler Davis would be on there, but turns out he is not fully healed from his injury. They decided to put him on season-ending IR as well, which is it really isn't a brutal loss. The Tyler Davis experiment is over, so not really much to say about it. Released were tight ends Joe Wilson, who I think will be definitely on the practice squad, Messiah Swinson, and Henry Pearson, who they literally just signed. Man, that's crazy. But that's that. Going on to the offensive linemen, they decided to keep 10. I thought they were going to kind of keep it short and go with more offensive weapons, but it's better not to have, more offensive linemen the better. In no particular order, our offensive linemen will be Eldon Jenkins, Josh Myers, Rasheed Walker, Zach Tom, first-round pick Jordan Morgan, Sean Ryan, Andre Dillard, Jacob Monk, Kadeem Telford, and Travis Glover. All the linemen we drafted this year have made the team, which is a good thing to see. Hopefully they could get some more playing time. And the ones that we released were actually, surprisingly, Royce Newman. I didn't think that they were going to do it, but they finally released him. Thank the Lord, because he sucked. Caleb Jones finally got released as well. Luke Tenua, Latictus Smith, and Donovan Jennings were all released. One of those guys will probably be put on the practice squad. But 10 linemen and most of these guys can play all positions. I think it's very important to have people that can play all positions. That's what's very important. Going on to the defensive side of things. Defensive ends, I was thinking they were only going to go after our edge rushers. I think they were just going to keep the 4 we had, not go for anybody. But they decided not to. Preston Smith, Rashawn Gary, Lucas Van Ness, and Kingsley Enagbare all obviously have locked spots. But a lot of people were thinking, were they going to add people or are they just going to keep the 4? But instead they didn't. Brendan Cox Jr., who has been outstanding through all of camp and some of the preseason games, made a spot. And especially after his last performance, Aaron Mosby, who honestly had one of the single-handedly best preseason games against the Ravens, easily got a spot just based off of that performance. So that's great news to see that we are fully loaded at the defensive end spot. Released were Desland Alexandre, Keyshawn Banks, Zach Morton, and Brevlin Allen. At the defensive tackle spot, we kept 5 people that obviously were expected to make the team anyways. Kenny Clark, TJ Slayton, Devontae Wyatt, Carl Brooks, and Colby Wooden. Those 5 were easily going to make the team. We didn't really need, as I said, that position we didn't even need to work on or sign anybody. For injured reserve, the guy that we obviously chose to put on the short-term IR at the start of the season was Jonathan Ford. And it's a smart choice because he's a guy that can serve very well as a backup. He actually wasn't a bad player. He's good on special teams. He's been, I questioned the pick, but he was never a bad pick to begin with. Released were James Esther, Spencer Wage, and Keontae Shad, who are guys I never even heard of. At the inside linebacker spot, I really thought that they were going to go with 6 people, and not even have any extra edge rushers. Instead, they go with 5. They go with the guys who are already signed to contracts. Quay Walker, Isaiah McDuffie, Eric Wilson, and rookies Edgerrin Cooper and Tyron Hopper. Released was preseason star Christian Welch, who I hope they are able to put on the practice squad because he was fantastic the entire preseason. And I hope that he gets a chance to really be in the practice squad or elsewhere. Christian Young and Chris Russell were also released, and waived and with an injury was Raylan Goforth, who was just signed about a week ago. At the cornerback spot, I figured they were only going to keep 5, and that was my belief. Jair Alexander, Eric Stokes, Keyshawn Nixon, Carrington Valentine, and Corey Ballantyne. That was the pretty easy one. I didn't think they needed to do anything. Kalen King, I don't think is ready yet. For sure, I think they can keep him on the practice squad. Hopefully they can. Released was Robert Rochelle, Kalen King, and Jeremy Green. And waived with an injury designation was LJ Davis. So that's that. For the safeties, they decided to go with, which was a little shocking, actually. I was actually a little shocked about this one. But they really, so the safeties were Xavier McKinney and Javon Bullard are easily going to start. Evan Williams did so well enough in camp that it's like clearly he deserves some playing time. And the other 2 was 5th-round pick Kitan Oladapo, who has a lot of potential. And surprisingly, over Anthony Johnson, they picked Zane Anderson. Now, you're probably sitting there like, how the heck, why would they pick Zane Anderson? Zane Anderson is one of the best special teams players on the entire team. And I said that, I was like, it would be hard to actually cut a player whose special teams is so... Zane Anderson is the best special teams player on the entire team. You can't cut him, and it's just hard to say it. Anthony Johnson, I hope they're able to keep him on the practice squad. It's going to be very tough, but because Anthony Johnson did phenomenal this preseason as well. But Anthony Johnson and veteran Benny Sapp were unfortunately the ones that were released. And like I said, I hope that we are able to keep Johnson because I really liked him. So that sucks. And then 3 guys will obviously be on the special teams. Punter Daniel Wheeland, long snapper Matt Orzech, and the moment that all Packer fans have been dying and waiting for, it is not Anders Carlson, it is Greg Joseph that will be our starting kicker this year. Now, I will say this, Greg Joseph, I think, has veteran experience. Anders Carlson just didn't cut it. I thought they were actually going to pick Carlson until he shanked that chip shot at the end of that preseason game. And that pretty much said it. Yeah, he's done. Anders Carlson and the other kicker, Alex Hale, were both released, and that's our special teams. Those are that's it. So obviously Jonathan Ford, here are some noteworthy items just to remind ourselves. Jonathan Ford was on the short-term IR, hopefully to return later. Obviously his injury was a minor one, but obviously you knew he wasn't going to be ready till the start of the season. Ford easily had a great camp and was likely going to make the roster anyways, but unfortunately he will be likely to return. Obviously, as I said again, A.J. Dillon, Tyler Davis were placed on injured reserve and did not receive the return designation, which means both their seasons are officially over. Brutal for A.J. Dillon, this was a prove-it year for him. And then, of course, obviously recently yesterday, we traded the 7th-round pick to acquire Malik Willis from the Tennessee Titans. It's the 3rd time Goody has acquired a player via the end of the training camp during his 6+ years at the Packers GM. He is also traded for punter Corey Bojorquez in 2021 and linebacker B.J. Goodson in 2019. If Willis appears in a game this season, he'll become the first Liberty alumni to suit up for the Packers since running back Sam Congatto from... yeah, that guy was bad. Defensive end Sebastian Berry in 1982 is the only other Liberty product to actually play in a regular season game for Green Bay, which is crazy. It is the 4th year in a row the Packers will actually proceed into the regular season with 2 quarterbacks on the 53-man roster. The last time they carried 3 was in 2020 with Aaron Rodgers, Jordan Love, and Tim Boyle. That was Jordan Love's rookie season. It is also the 3rd year in a row the Packers have carried at least 10 offensive linemen in their initial 53. Veteran Greg Joseph prevailed in the kicking competition with former 6th-round pick Anders Carlson, who missed a chip shot 32-yard field goal in the fourth quarter of Saturday's 30-7 preseason win over Baltimore. Joseph made good on both of his tries from 36 and 55. As a rookie from 2023, Carlson went 27 and 33 on field goals, but also missed 5 of his 39 extra point attempts. The Packers waived undrafted rookie kicker Alex Hale, whom they designated last week as their player for the NFL International Pathways program. If Hale isn't claimed, the Australian-born kicker may join Green Bay's practice squad as a 17th player under a roster exemption. Kadeem Telford and Aaron Mosby, who spent all last season on the practice squad, both made the initial 53. Telford, a 6'7", 322-pound tackle, worked extensively with the first-team offense, while starting right tackle Zach Tom was sidelined with a torn pectoral at the start of camp. Mosby, a second-year lineman, had a strip sack that led to a 24-yard touchdown and an interception on back-to-back series against the Ravens, which is why he deserves the team. None of Green Bay's 9 undrafted rookies actually made the 53-man roster. It's the first time in 9 years since a free agent has not made the team. Crazy. The Packers don't add one before next week's regular season opener against Philadelphia. It's the first time since 2004. Crazy. With no undrafted rookies making the initial 53, the Packers kept the 4 who made last year: Malik Heath, Emmanuel Wilson, Ben Sims, and Brendan Cox. Also, another undrafted free agent, Bo Melton, made the initial 53 rosters for a first time in 3 tries. A 7th-round pick by Seattle in 2022, Melton spent most of his rookie season on the Seahawks practice squad before joining the Packers. He came up short of Green Bay's 53 last summer, but was put, obviously due to an injury, was put on the practice squad, came back, and caught 16 passes for 218 yards and a touchdown in 5 games at the end of last year. Green Bay kept 9 of its 11 picks from the 2024 NFL Draft, releasing only quarterback Michael Pratt and cornerback Kalen King. Obviously, both of these guys could make the practice squad, so you never know. The Packers' 53-man roster is comprised of 41 former draft picks and 12 undrafted free agents. 33 were drafted by general manager Brian Gutekunst. So that's all I got to say about the signings. A lot can happen, and our next game is next Friday in Brazil against the Philadelphia Eagles. I am excited. Next week, Wednesday, will be my officially first video of weekly Wednesday predictions for the 2024-25 NFL season, and I am excited for what's to come. Obviously, coming soon will be my schedule prediction video. As you saw, I made one on the Badgers earlier today. Packers will be coming, obviously, later. Maybe tomorrow or Thursday will be that video. And in the meantime, if you like what you see, comment below, subscribe with your thoughts. Let's go Packers. We'll see you next time.